Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam.
Naishkarmyamapi achyuta bhava varjitam.
Nashobhate jnanamalam niranjanam.
Nashobhate jnanamalam niranjanam.
Kuta puna shashvata bhadramishvare. Kuta puna
Shashvadabhadramishvare.
na charpitam karma yadapyakaranam.
Na charpitam karma yadapyakaranam.
Translation. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As referred to above, not only ordinary literatures devoid of the transcendental glorification of the Lord are condemned, but also Vedic literatures and speculation on the subject of impersonal Brahman when they are devoid of devotional service. When speculation on the impersonal Brahman is condemned on the above ground, then what to speak of ordinary fruitive work, which is not meant to fulfill the aim of devotional service? Such speculative knowledge and fruitive work cannot lead one to the goal of perfection. Fruitive work in which almost all people in general are engaged is always painful either in the beginning or at the end. It can be fruitful only when made subservient to the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also, it is confirmed that the result of such fruitive work may be offered for the service of the Lord, otherwise it leads to material bondage. The bona fide enjoyer of the fruitive work is the personality of Godhead, and thus, when it is engaged for the sense gratification of the living beings, it becomes an acute source of trouble. Hare Krishna.
To share some points.
So what I understood from the essence of this verse and purport is that whether it is ordinary literature or Vedic literature, or whether it is fruitive work, everything should be should lead to the devotional service of the Lord. Otherwise, it is useless. It's very similar to the verse in the second chapter, useless labor. I don't remember the verse actually, but it reminds me of that verse. Shramayave Kevalam.
Very nice philosophical connection.
So that's all I prepared.
Hare Krishna. Sorry about that. Okay, so that was a nice philosophical connection with the second chapter. So if you see in the previous two shlokas, let's go back a little bit. So first of all, can anybody tell who is speaking this shloka? Who is speaking? Okay, one person is saying Sud Goswami, one person is saying Narad Muni. Who else? Those who have not spoken.
Narad Muni.
Okay. What about others? Okay. So now we have one Vyasdev also. So you have three options now. Those who want to choose can choose. Anita Mataji, we are still waiting for your response. And Suresh Prabhu also. Okay, Anita Mataji, Narad Muni. Okay. Who else? Suresh Prabhu is left now. Suresh Prabhu, like to share? I think Suresh Prabhu doesn't want to share. Okay. So this is the conversation between Vyasdev and Narad Muni, right? Remember? Sud Goswami is speaking. That is the correct answer. But Sud Goswami is telling the conversation which happened between Narad Muni and Vyasdev. So Narad Muni is speaking here and telling to Vyasdev, right? So what did he say in the previous shlokas? So previously, if you see in the 10th shloka, he's speaking. What is he speaking here? Can somebody read this translation? Any volunteers who would like to read this translation?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Mataji, go ahead.
Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there.
Okay. So in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning about how all the other literatures are there where crows are coming, is like a garbage and all those things, right? So why is he saying such a thing to Vyasadeva? That Vyasadeva he's not written a news magazine or anything. He has written Vedic scriptures. So many people say, oh, Vedas, we should read, Vedas padho. Then why is Narad Muni saying such a thing to Vedyas?
Prabhuji, he's essentially saying that unless you glorify the Lord, other things don't matter.
Yeah, so the point is here in this section, like Natasha Mataji nicely mentioned in this section, and Kishori just read, mentioned that how knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid with the conception of God. So some philosophies, some things may eliminate God. They may take him out of the picture. They may not discuss about the God much. Like in certain courses, if you go, they will talk about Bhagavad Gita, but they will not talk about God. They will not talk about speaker. Have you attended? Has anybody attended such sessions of Bhagavad Gita or anything they have where they're telling Bhagavad Gita, but that has no connection with God actually? Or you've been to maybe some other spiritual, so-called spiritual or religious organization, or some people who will be telling different things which may appear to be a little bit nice, okay, practical, some nice ways, but they don't really have much connection with God.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, many of you have attended.
It's like modern, it appeals to modern people to get all this knowledge, but if you talk about God, then they think it is backward. So people take God out of all the knowledge.
Yes. So we see here Narad Muni is actually condemning this. He's saying that even though free from all material affinity, if you are talking about self-realization, but there's devoid of God, it does not look well. So what to talk about fruitive activities? Fruitive activities, there are a lot of fruitive activities mentioned in the Vedas. In Vedic literatures, there are so many different ways by which you can get better body, higher birth, nice, opportunities to enjoy, so on and so forth, right? So this is something which Vedvyas already wrote in the past before writing Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Vedic literatures. And that's what Narad Muni is pointing out, that you wrote so many things, but you are letting people go on the wrong direction if they do not get affinity towards the service of the Supreme Lord. And that's what Prabhupada is elaborating here. That Vedic literatures and speculation, like for example, so many things are there. Siddhis, different siddhi you can get. Mystic yogi can do mystic things. You can get to know so many other ways of attaining peace. It's a temporary peace, but it is. You can actually go to the Brahma Jyoti. So many things are there. You don't need Supreme Lord if you want to take him off and don't want to practice devotional service. And there are so many ways by which people avoid. And that is what Narad Muni is actually condemning. Why? Because this will not give pleasure and happiness to the people. If they do not engage in the service of the Lord, they will not be happy. So that is what is being pointed out. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you are on mute.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Anybody else would like to share anything from the previous shloka, or should we go to the next one? Can you all hear me now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Nothing
Okay.
to share.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, great. अथो महाभाग भवान मोगद्रे
अथो महाभाग भवानमोगद्रेक्
शुचि श्रवा सत्यरतो व्रता
शुचि श्रवासत्यरतो धृता
उरुक्रमस्याखिल बंध मुक्तये
उरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्ते
समाधिनानुस्मर तद्विचेष्टितम्
समाधिनानुस्मरताद्विचेष्टितम्.
Anyone would like to read the translation?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Suresh.
Oh, Vyasdev, your vision is completely perfect. You are good. Your good fame is spotless. You are the firm involved and situated in the truthfulness, and thus you can think of the pastime of the Lord in trance of liberation of the people in general from the material bondage. People in general have taste of literatures by instinct. They want to hear and read from the authorities something about the known about the unknown, but their taste is exploited by the unfortunate literatures where are full of subjects matter for satisfaction of the material senses. Such literature contains different kinds of mundane poems and philosophical speculation, more or less under the influence of Maya, ending in sense gratification. These literatures, although worthless in true sense of the terms, and variously decorated to attract the attention of the sales intelligent men. Thus, the attracted living entities are more or more and more entangled in material bondage without the hope of liberation for thousands and thousands of generations. Sri Narad Rishi, being the best among of the Vaishnavas, is compassionate towards such unfortunate victims of the worthless literatures, and thus advised the Sri Vasdev to compose transcendental literature, which is not only the attractive but can also actually bring liberation from all kind of the bondage. Srila Vyasdev or his representatives are qualified because they are rightly trained to see things in true perspective. Srila Vyasdev and his representative are pure in thought due to their spiritual enlightenment, fixed in their vows due to their devotional service, and determined to deliver the fallen souls rotting in material activities. The fallen souls are very eager to receive novel informations every day, and the transcendentalist like Vyasdev or Narad can supply such eager people in general with unlimited news from the spiritual world. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the material world is only a part of the whole creation and that this earth is only a fragment of the whole material world. Continue. Who can discuss?
Yes, Prabhuji, you can discuss if you want. You want to share some points, Suresh Prabhu?
Here the Vyasdev, Sri Narad Muni is giving the instruction, to the Vyasdev. Kind of suggestion, and he's suggesting that you are the most compassionate towards the unfortunate victim for this Mayavadi people or the worthless literature. And he advises, the Narad Muni advised the Vyasdev to compose the transcendental literature, which is not only the attractive but also actually been liberated from all kind of bondage. He's saying that you have to write some other literature, other book, which is very much attractive, and it will give free from all liberations. It will give the liberation of all kind of activities. That's what he's trying to say, Prabhuji, over here.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. That was very nice. So Narad Muni here, he is, like Suresh Prabhu nicely mentioned, is instructing Vyasadeva and telling him about what is the level of Vyasadeva, right? We remember from Ramayana how Hanumanji was reminded about his strengths by Jamwant, right? Jamwant reminded him how strong Hanumanji is. So similarly, great personalities also, they also have, instructors or guru. Here in this case, Vyasadeva, he had so much potency, and now Narad Muni is reminding of his potency. What? That you are completely perfect and you can be in samadhi. Here it says, right? Samadhi nanusmara. So you can be in samadhi, which means you're fully conscious of the Supreme Lord. You can participate in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. You can think repeatedly on him and then describe them. Anusmara. So Ved Vyas, whatever he wrote in Srimad Bhagavatam, what is not what he's thinking, but actually he meditated and saw the pastimes of the Lord and then he wrote. So therefore, Prabhupada, whenever there is a situation where you have conflict between, let's say, something which the scientist may be saying and what the Vedic scriptures is saying, Prabhupada was very clear that Ved Vyas, see, modern science keeps changing. Today, they may be saying something and tomorrow they'll say something else. But the scriptures written by Vyasadeva for last thousands of years have not changed. And neither there is a scope for change because they are actually written in the perfect state of samadhi, which is untouched by time. So it is not going to get affected by time because spiritual world has no control. Time has no control on the spiritual world. And these literatures are describing about the spiritual world, especially when it comes to the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, which is describing about the pastimes of the Lord Shri Krishna. So he's telling all these things based upon the higher state of consciousness. So remember, we were discussing about ordinary people are in 3 states of consciousness, and then the who are perfected beings, they can be in the 4th stage of consciousness. So what were the 3 states of consciousness for the ordinary people? Can anybody tell?
3 states of consciousness.
Yeah.
Prabhuji didn't hear Mataji's answer.
No, she is asking the question, asking me to repeat the question.
ऐसे पढ़ा था ना हमने एक बार कि deep sleep, swapna,
Yes.
and there was one more. Awakeful,
Correct.
awake, deep
One-
sleep and swapna.
Very nice. So first is Jagrati, which is wakefulness. So like some of you may be awake right now. Can't say about everybody. Somebody may be sleeping while I'm speaking. Somebody may be sleeping. But some people here are still in wakeful state. But some people may be in swapna, because it's already 9 o'clock, almost. And then of course, this is still the taste is not there for Bhagavatam, and the speaker is not able to develop the taste. So one may go into swapna. Swapna means dream state. You're sleeping and having dreams. And then third is sushupti. Sushupti is deep sleep, where even the mind is resting. So in the swapna stage, mind is active, body is resting, and the subtle body is still active. And then sushupti is where mind is also resting and body is also resting. That is the deep stage. Actually, that is very important for the body and health, to have a sushupti stage. Both the modern science as well as the Bhagavatam, they both acknowledge this and say that yes, one has to have good sleep. If you get too many dreams, sometimes it's not restful sleep. That's why some people, they say, right, sweet dreams. So some other people, they start saying no dreams. So you will have sweet dreams. No. Better you have no dreams and restful sleep. Yeah. So the idea is that brain and the mind also needs rest. So that is the third stage. So these are 3 stages of consciousness for ordinary person. And the 4th level is Turiya or Samadhi, which is for those who are completely pure, transcendental people. And Ved Vyas, of course, is one of them. So that's what is being recommended here by Narad Muni. Anybody would like to add anything here? And basically, this is for his compassion towards the living entities. So we'll read the last paragraph and then we'll discuss more. Anybody would like to read the last paragraph? Any volunteers?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Marvi, go ahead.
There are thousands and thousands of literary men all over the world, and they have created many thousands of literary works for the information of the people in general for thousands and thousands of years. Unfortunately, none of them have brought peace and tranquility on the earth. This is due to a spiritual vacuum in those literatures. Therefore, the Vedic literatures, especially the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, are specifically recommended to suffering humanity to bring about the desired effect of liberation from the pangs of material civilization, which is eating the vital parts of human energy. The Bhagavad Gita is the spoken message of the Lord himself recorded by Vyasadeva, and the Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental narration of the activities of the same Lord Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Such transcendental narrations of the pastimes of the Lord can be described. Can you hear me, Prabhuji? I'll go back a little. Such transcendental narrations of the pastimes of the Lord can be described only by liberated souls like Vyasadeva and his bona fide representatives who are completely merged in the transcendental loving services of the Lord. Only to such devotees do the pastimes of the Lord and their transcendental nature become automatically manifest by dint of devotional service. No one else can either know or describe the acts of the Lord, even if they speculate on the subject for many, many years. The descriptions of the Bhagavatam are so precise and accurate that whatever has been predicted in the great literatures, in this great literature, about 5,000 years ago is now exactly happening. Therefore, the vision of the author comprehends past, present, and future. Such liberated persons as Vyasadeva are perfect not only by the power of vision and wisdom, but also in oral reception, in thinking, feeling, and all other sense activities. A liberated person possesses perfect senses, and with perfect senses only can one serve the sense proprietor Rishikesh. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, is the perfect description of the all perfect personality of Godhead by the all perfect personality Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. You want to share a few points from this whole shloka?
So basically, Narad Muni is saying, or sorry, Prabhupada is saying in the purport that these literatures, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, since they talk about the personal form of God, the devotional service to God, they glorify Krishna, they are the ones that can rid us from the material disease. So all of us are affected by the this material disease. We have so many hankerings and desires, and properly the liberation from all these this material contamination can be achieved by taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And Vyasadeva is the perfect person to compile them because he has a perfect vision. Like Narad Muni says, your vision is perfect, meaning that he's a liberated soul. All his senses are under his control. His mind is under control. He has surrendered everything to Krishna, and he can see the past, present, and future. And he writes everything catering to Krishna and his pastimes and devotional service. So he's the best person to compile the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's the only thing one needs to make any advancement towards liberation.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Anybody else would like to share any points? Okay, great. So tomorrow we will continue our reading from stroke 14.